Chapter 4 Empty Space Making Space. Every day since the move, the day we moved into the old mansion on Holden Street, my dad spends hours a day in front of the television. Some of our conversations: "Dad, will you take us out to the park?" I must keep up with the pandemic, he will say while his eyes are glued to the television. "She, will you take us out to the shed?" "Yes, but first let me catch up with the news." As if he steps away from the television, the entire world will die and leave him wondering what happened to the rest of the world. "This could be it. This could be the end of mankind," my dad says. Quickly, from time to time, watch him, and I'll take a little from the news and notice not all that much has changed, but still, despite that fact, the people on the news insist on everyone staying home. Just the other day, they threw up the red flag. Red flag means the severe possibility that this virus could wipe out all mankind, including many of the animals. I do not know if I really in my heart of hearts believe that, but my dad seems to. My dad daily must remove all doubt. I do not know what I would say if one asked me. I have not been taught how to respond, so I just laugh as he anxiously watches. Steph must know something about what I'm thinking, because most of the time, if not always, she acts as if she understands what I do, whether around the house or at school. If I laugh at Dad, she will either punch me or give me a look like, "Do not, Jill," which gives the environment a lack of seriousness involving my actions. Again, nobody taught me about this. I must be right, despite Steph treating me sometimes as the bad person. "Dad, can Steph come over today?" Ask your mother. "Mom, Steph's coming over today." "Okay, Jill, but once she gets here, wash her up and give her a change of clothes. I do not want you getting sick. If something's on her clothes or skin, it can spread to the rest of the house." She sure is taking the sickness far. Doorbell rings. I rush to the door, expecting to see Jill in front of her father's car. I quickly open the door, preparing my mouth to utter Steph. "Tom, what are you doing here?" He tosses the bag down and says, "I must stay here. Tell your parents I have nowhere else to stay," Tom says. "Wait a minute, what happened?" I express. "My parents are in the hospital with an 80% of surviving the sickness," Tom explains. "The sickness, the pandemic sickness?" "Yes," Tom says. Willing and anxious to help a friend in need, I say, "Okay, Tom, go into the bathroom, jump to the shower, do not touch anything but the shower handle, and wash that afterwards, please. Thank you," I say. Tom begins to walk up the stairs. "Tom," I say, "do not wear the same clothes you came here with. I will ask my dad if you can wear some of his," I say. I rush into the kitchen, beyond the rooms to where the front door is. "Mom, Dad, I pause. Tom's parents are dying of a sickness." "What?" Dad asks. "You mean?" "Yes," I say. "Send him to take a shower, and Dad, I told him you'd give him some clean clothes." "Okay," Dad answers. So I pause for a moment. "Can Tom have some of your clothes?" "Of course, Jill, let us go get some." As we make our way up the stairs, Dad says, "You did not touch anything, right?" "I do not think so," I mentioned that to him. We walked into my dad's huge Victorian-style bedroom, 4 windows covered with dark brown curtains were creatively placed on the outer wall. Dad swings open the double folding doors to his closet. He begins picking out pieces of clothing and placing them in his arms. "Dad, he does not need all these, just one set. We will wash his so that he can change back into them." Dad gives sort of an embarrassed smile. Dad picks out what he wants to give. We walk down the hallway toward the bathroom. Tom was showering. "Tom, fresh clothes are here in front of the door," I yell to the bathroom door. "Okay," I hear to the door as we hear the water pouring into the tub. "Jill, is Steph coming today?" Dad asks. "Yes, and she plans on a couple of days here. I told you about it," I say, hoping he was not going to reconsider. "Anyways, Dad, the pandemic and stuff." "That's fine, Jill. Actually, I'm thinking that they should be over more often, because if society begins to collapse, we do not want to be alone," Dad says. Relieved and feeling liberated, we walk down the luxurious staircase carpeted just enough to catch our feet from stepping onto the wood. The doorbell rings. "That is Jill." I open the door. "Honk, honk," Steph's dad sounds from with his car and waves his hand at me. I wave back. "Steph, good, you made it." "Tom is upstairs in a shower. Let us wait and hang out for a moment outside. Dad wants you to take a shower to get rid of any virus-type stuff." Crack open the door and peek inside. "Tom, hurry up. Steph's here and he needs to take a shower." "I'm done," Tom says, walking down the stairs. We rush inside, glancing at Dad's oversized clothes on Tom's body. "These look good on you, Tom," I say, warming the environment. I whisper to Steph, "Steph, try not to touch anything until you're super clean. I'll get you clothes from my room." "Okay," Steph says with a tiny bit of laughter in her voice. I watch Steph's clothes The oak wood bathroom door, small square designs are now facing me. It sure is a rich house. I rush into my room. I wonder what clothes would look best on Steph. Purple. I dug through some boxes. I purposely left after the move, thinking I was saving space. I moved so quickly, boxes will never look the same again. I found a couple purple sets of clothes. Steph will look good in these. She will be happy, saying, "You're such a marvelous person, such a good friend." My type of delight. "Steph," I say behind the door leading to the bathroom. "I'm coming in." I crack open the door. Hot water steam pours out of the colder hallway. I toss in the clothes, saying, "Here are some of my best clothes." "Thanks," I hear through the water splattering in the tub. I close the door and make my way to find Tom. I needed to find out how bad this case was. Were his parents dying? Walking to the kitchen, Tom is sitting at the bar eating cereal my mother must have given him. "Now you're all cleaned up, I can give you a hug," I say to Tom. I wrap my arms around him. "It's a good thing you did not get sick, because you would not be feeling this hug right now, nor would I be able to be close to you." "You're right, Jill," Tom says, looking over his shoulder. Give me a look of acceptance, a brave look of acceptance. "What happened at home?" I ask, wondering what happened on the outside world. "I don't really know, Jill," Tom says, looking at my mother and then at my father. He pauses for a moment and then says, "I do not really want to say this in front of your parents, because I don't want to make my parents look bad. But reality is not reality." "Go ahead, Tom." "It's a strange time for everyone," my dad insists. "Well," Tom rolls his eyes back, recalling the past few days. My mom had been mentioning others disappearing for a while. My dad insists that it was the people simply hiding out in their houses. My mom never saw it that way. Maybe it was the fever, but towards the end of her independence she started saying, "Frank, the people, they're all gone. I cannot find any of our friends," she would say, crying and panicking. I could not spend much time with her, but she sure was, in other words, freaking out. Tom looked at my dad in hopes of comfort. I almost thought Tom was going to cry as he looked at my father in the eyes. Tom then looked at me, put his head down his arm, resting on the table. I could see curiosity in my dad's eyes, as if he had thousands of questions. I knew he would not ask, mostly because the situation was sensitive. "It'll be all right, Tom," Dad says, burying all his desired questions deep within themselves. I heard Steph walking down the stairs. Within a moment she walks into the kitchen. I look at Steph. I say, "Tom's mom said all the people on the entire planet have disappeared." "I did not say that, Jill," Tom says. "What happened?" Steph asks. "My mom cannot find the reality she knows was there. She said that she has not seen anyone in months, and she has searched. She is close to being dead now," Tom explains. "What about Frank?" Steph asks. "Well," Tom pauses, He was put into the hospital when he broke into the neighbors. The police tied him up as he shouted, 'They have all disappeared.'" "Huh, weird," I say as I look at my dad. "You know, Dad, I've not seen another person in almost a whole year." "Jill," my mother says, keeping me under the authority under her knowledge. My dad adds, "Jill, I'm almost sure the people are still out there. Every day I turn on the news, and every day the people are broadcasting the news." Steph says, "It could have been recorded." "That's what my parents were saying." Tom relieves himself. "Okay, kids, that's enough," my mother says, attempting to change the subject. We all sat quiet for a moment. Steph blows, "I've not seen anyone either." My father quickly interrupts. "Kids, enough. Why don't you go play?" We begin to leave the kitchen table. My dad says, "And Tom, you can use the spare bedroom next to ours. We just recently redid it." My father says, making sure he himself could ignore us and go back to work. "Okay, Mr. Flippy, will do," Tom says. We walk into the pool/gaming room. We sit down on the couch my father had placed in hopes of entertaining family and friends. Tom sets his backpack on the floor, not noticing it would be tainted with the virus. I, at this point, did not believe it. I only did if my parents told me to. Tom unzips his backpack and pulls out a newspaper. "Look here," Tom says. "Last week's newspaper says 2 million were placed in the cemeteries in the past 5 months. That's in the state of Massachusetts. All dead? What?" I grabbed the paper out of Tom's hand. 20 of the state cemeteries are now full to capacity, I read out of the walk times. The weird part about it, Jill, is everyone still has their television, lights, and radios on in their houses. It's like a cover-up, but not a cover-up. Only the educated people will know the truth, Tom says fearfully. "I was not so sure my parents were sick," Tom says with a little doubt in his voice, "but they were acting very strangely." Tom turns his head and mumbles, "They broke into a couple of houses." "Your parents did?" Steph asked. "Yes, they needed to check on why the supposed dead people were still using their household stuff." "Could have been just because the sickness moved so quickly that the dead people appear to be still alive," I add. Yes, it could be, but according to my mother, the dead's cars were pulling in and out of these people's garages, Tom says. Steph slides down into the couch, relaxing every muscle. The whole sickness and epidemic is like that, Tom. Cars driving on their own, Tom argues. Sickness and graves are supposed to not make us question, Steph says. That is sort of is covered up too, Tom. Tom, maybe you're accidentally hitting who you are. Maybe you're thinking too far out, I say. You're right, I'm here. Plus, I could have stood up for my parents. I know that, Jill, Tom says, defending himself. Night approached and began to fall asleep on the couch, the same couch we'd been sitting at most of the day. Kids, my dad says, it's almost bedtime. Go clean up. Dad, can Tom and Jill, along with me, spend this night in the closet, I ask? Why do you want to spend the night in the closet, my mother asks as she walks into the room. I look at the blue-lit background of the fish tank as my mother walks by. So we can comfort Tom, I say. Steph adds, his parents are sick. Okay, that'll be fine, my dad answers. Yes. I open the closet door of the hallway and pull out a clean blue and black sleeping bag my mother stored, ready to be pulled out at any moment and used on the spot. I handed one to Steph and then one to Tom. We walked them back to my room. We carefully placed the sleeping bags on the closet floor. I walked toward my bed to grab my comforter. On the way, I noticed the electrical outlet in the front of the closet. I will grab my nightlight. I quickly grab both and bring them back to the closet. I first plug in the blue nightlight. I lay down my comforter, my blanket, clothes hung above me. Steph says, it feels weird not having been in school for the past year. Yeah, it sure does. I must feel like I'm dead. It's like if I don't do something, anything, I will feel dead, Tom adds. At the end of the conversation, I say, my dad keeps acting funny. I do not notice school all that much. I just simply pretend I'm on summer break. But I cannot help but consider something horrible seeing my dad watch the news the way he does. In comforting ourselves into the night, we fall asleep. I woke up in the morning and expect to find Steph and Tom close by, the same minute as we fell asleep. Nothing, only the closet. I was so alarmed I did not notice the clothes hanging above us were gone. I pulled back the comforter that hours before I placed in the closet. I put my feet on the cold wooden floors as to stand up. I slowly walked to the entrance of the closet, being led by the strange light, an almost ancient light. As I get to the door entrance, I see dirt on the floor, along with some dried-up maple leaves. Steph, Tom, I yell. I get to the door expecting to see my bed across from the entrance of the door. I gasp, cannot believe my eyes. A forest, a strange forest lit by some strange light. What an odd forest. I begin to walk out. I pause. What could be out there? The forest almost seemed as if it were on the inside of some sort of dome, but it could not be. I could see blue sky above the tree line. The air was soft and warm. I think I was somewhere rather than not. I will walk out. Dead leaves crumble under my feet. I do not hear anyone. I walk around 10 feet to the right of the closet door, only to notice none of the rest of the house is there, just half of my bedroom and most of my closet. As I got to the edge of the room, the forest abruptly stopped. I could see a field that sloped downward. I sure would love to run down that hill. Their environment made me feel as if I could play here for an exceptionally long time. Tom, Steph, are you here? I yell into the surrounding environment. I was hoping I would hear them. I wanted someone else to share this experience with. No answer, nothing but the sound of windless environment, no air, only the indoor atmosphere of a huge building. I walked to what once was in front of the house. Small bushes sit in front of the wall of my bedroom, where there was the hallway. I looked to my left, apple trees, or at least I think they're apple trees. I walked towards them. Big, red, juicy apples hung from the trees. Vines of tomato plants grew beneath them. I pick an apple. I put it to my mouth and attempt to take a bite when I'm startled by a sound. I listen. It sounds like something's in the bushes. It sounds like it's struggling or being stressed to move. I walk over to the sound that speaks of a fearful and twisted yet wild atmosphere. What could it be? I crouched down and began to move the tomato vines. I looked straight ahead of the vines, a small nest, a compacted area. I saw a small critter. It feels it was poisoning with the sound it was making. I cannot look away. I cannot stop listening. Once the sound reaches the core of my being, it asks if it can keep me. No, no, I say out loud and stumble backwards. Scramble to my feet and run towards the closet. I look to my left, noticing a giant hole straight to the left side of my bedroom. I run into the closet. I shut the door behind me. I quickly make my way towards the back of the closet. I take my comforter with me. I cover myself, hoping nothing finds me. No, no, I utter. Fearing I will never find my home again, I shut my eyes. I suddenly heard a voice. I heard Tom's voice. I wonder if that is Tom or someone pretending to be Tom. I'll risk it. I pull back my comforter, covering my face. Jill, Jill, what's wrong? Tom says, hovering over my face. Tom, I yell, relieved. What's wrong, Jill, I hear Steph say toward the front of the closet. They appear to have not known. Moments ago, the entire bedroom was missing, leaves covering the floor of the entrance to the closet. Now all looks the same as when I laid my head down. Jill, are you alright? Are you okay? Tom asked, giving me a look of protection. I don't know what to say. First, I must assure myself that this closet is the same closet as before. I jump out of my blankets, rush toward my bedroom, and examine the room, the hallway, and several other rooms before going back to the closet to Steph and Tom. I don't know how to tell you both this, but just moments ago I stumbling words. I cannot explain what I just saw, so I said, I was in a different world. Were you dreaming? Tom asked. Dreams can be like that, Steph asked. No and yes, but I'm sure it was a whole different world, I say. They both gave me a strange look, comforting, and welcomed me back into my room. We stood there for a moment. Steph says, I'm hungry, while tapping me on the shoulder. Right then I knew it was an isolated experience. I must pretend it never happened. Yes, I'm hungry too. Let's go get something to eat, I say. My mother just bought a whole month worth of this cinnamon-like breadstick. Pop them into the microwave. They get soft like a pancake. They're so good. Once we got down the stairs and into the kitchen, we began to ready ourselves for the day. As the food was warming, Steph said, So, Jill, you were mentioning something upstairs about getting lost in a closet? Yes, exactly, lost. Good thing I found my way back. How did you do that? Tom asked. I was running from a monster or something and hid under my covers.